I was going to bring up on the state and local updates is that Sunday at AIDS Walk, the Axis of Love HIV group went and gathered a gobzillion signatures, which I gotta take my hat off to the HIV group for doing that at AIDS Walk. That was awesome.
Thank you, Sean.
There's a few things that need to be, there's a few typos on the petition that need to be clarified, and 2 items I'd like to add to it, and then I'd like to see if we as the Patient Advocacy Committee can't sign on to this petition and support it, and also see if we can't kind of get it into a resolution form to the board, possibly. So it's kind of 2 things. 1, adding 2 items to it, and 2, having the committee support it. I'll just go through and read it. Like I say, there's a few typos. If you could get that out to the audience. Some for committee members. Welcome, Bridget. It's wonderful to see another patient advocate here. So it is entitled Patient Before Profit. Patient advocates demand that low-income, disabled, and veterans receive medical cannabis on a co-pay sliding scale, and that no-cost medical cannabis be included in President Obama's affordable health care plan. California voters supported Prop 215 and SB 420, which allows for patients to cultivate for each other, which kind of touches on some of the things we were talking about earlier. And then a few of these points need. This is sort of a version 2, there'll be a version 3. Patient advocates oppose any legislation that trespasses upon Proposition 215 and SB 420 in California, and impose any restrictions that would limit safe public access to medical cannabis. So that's pretty vast and sweeping. It's NIDA, so we need to take the L off of there. Expand the NIDA federal compassion program beyond its 6 patient base currently serves, and actually address the needs of millions of low-income and disabled patients who can't afford market-rate medical cannabis, such as has been established for patients in Washington, D.C. And then I want to add one other sentence, and this is a huge update, and has been dismantled in federal crackdown in the states of New Mexico, Rhode Island, I believe was one of Rhode Island, and Oregon. So what happened the day before this petition was taken by the Axis of Love HIV group to the AIDS Walk was Friday the 13th, I shit you not, the federal government attacked the states of New Mexico, Oregon, and Rhode Island for allowing deductions for people living on disability and food stamps for their medical cannabis. This is huge. This is where patients come in and say, President Obama, how dare you? Right?
Did you hear what Rosie O'Donnell said on David Letterman? How dare you again?
No.
She said, told Obama that he's going to come take her joint out, took fire out with cold dead hands.
Right on. And that's scary and that's real. And as patient advocates, this is a place where we go, President Obama, why are you not allowing for deductions for the most vulnerable people who are demonstratively ill? So one of the things and one of the words that Melinda Haag recently used is that the superstores aren't able to have a secure membership that is demonstrably ill. Well, if the federal government has deemed you disabled, I think that's pretty demonstrable.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I think if the federal government has said you are legally blind, you are disabled, that's demonstrable, and these folks are going to be denied those deductions in these states. Now, we had California was not threatened by the federal government because California is not the leader in compassionate care. The other states were way ahead of us. The District of Columbia is way ahead of us on sliding scale and compassionate care, and that has a lot to do with sort of, in my mind, politically fake progressives in California and the libertarian influence, which basically has no ideation of social justice, and the libertarians have had a huge influence in drug policy organizations. The biggest fundraiser for the Libertarian Party is Rob Compia, who is one of the main people at MPP. So there's been a disconnect in our state, but in 3 other states now we're federally harassed about allowing federally deemed disabled low-income people from deducting that. And I think for the low-income advocates in the room, we know that that deduction means a hell of a lot to people. It means whether you get a bag of groceries or a bag of medicine, or whether you pay your rent or don't pay your rent. Because if you're in pain, sometimes that comes before thinking about the fact that you're not going to pay your rent next month, and that's not something. So I just want to add that sentence in there and point out how crazy that was. Promote grassroots patient advocacy and make affordable medical cannabis a public policy. Identify and discern between industry lobby influence and patients in position of power that ultimately make them direct stakeholders of their own health care access. Patients before profit.